Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Hello and welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl, and we are at the beginning of season 3. As always, I'm super excited to be doing these gatherings for myself and for you guys. An amazing lineup of speakers this season. I cannot wait to get started with those. But for now, you guys are going to be with me. So I am going to do a short little intro for those of you that may not have joined me in the past. I always start with a little intention, opening up a sacred space, talking a little bit about channeling. And I've decided that today I'm really going to open up the floor to have a conversation with you guys about questions that you guys are having about your own development and your own spiritual journey. I'll talk about the subject of the conversation, which is what it means to me to be pointing myself in the direction of being the ocean in the drop. And I'll talk to you guys more about that shortly. But for now, just take a moment, close your eyes, relax, keep your eyes open, whatever you're comfortable with. To the beings of light, to the love of the divine, to our mentors, masters, angels, guides, loved ones. We invite you to be with us, to help us get new insights, to allow us on our journey and make it a more enjoyable and powerful experience for us to be here on Earth during this incredible time in our history. To the master healers, we invite you to come and help us to heal our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies within this lifetime and other lifetime that's relevant and appropriate for us on this journey, extending that healing out across all of our existence, both individually and as a collective. We set this intention for ourselves and for others. Thank you very much for being with us. Love and light of the divine, we are honored and grateful to be playing with you. To be playing with ourselves, I guess, is another way of saying it. Anyway, so the intention, the sacred space opening ceremony that I'm going to read out is something that I modified. I borrowed it from someone online, and I always say this, but give him credit where credit is due. I didn't take a note of where I got it and what his name was, so I can't give him credit, but he was a shaman practitioner and he posted his own opening ceremony online. I borrowed it and modified it, just changing the wording so that it was more suitable for the work that I do, and in line with who I am and what I'm about. So I would like to take this opportunity to expand our sacred space, and I invite you to relax as you hear the sound of my voice, the meaning behind my words, and to deepen the connection that you have with your true self and your spiritual team. To the beings of light and energy of life, Serpent of the South, wrap your golden healing light around us. Help us learn the power of presence to release our past and our future all at once. Guide us to walk with beauty and grace. Teach us that beauty is always within us, around us, and surrounding us. Jaguar of the West, protect the sacred space. Show us the path inwards to our own inner self, where we radiate the unconditional love of our heart. Teach us the way of peace and integrity. Hummingbird of the North, help us remember ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge, and to drink deeply from the well of immortality. Whisper to us in the wind, in the crackle of the fire, in the sacred space of our heart. We are thankful and grateful to you who have come before us and after us. Teach us to walk the sacred path. Eagle of the East, thank you for kicking us out of the nest so that we would learn to grow our own wings. Take us to higher grounds and illuminate our destiny. Teach us to always see through the eyes of our heart. Mother Earth, we celebrate all those that live within you, around you, and surrounding you. We celebrate all of our relations and everything we have experienced. Thank you for sustaining us in these lifetimes. Sing to us and teach us to remember who we are. Father Sky, hold us in between the tick and the talk, between the spaces of time. Hold us in the place of infinity, where all the stories exist simultaneously, where all the healing happens instantly. To Spirit, we thank you for bringing us together, for letting us sing our soul songs one more day in one more way. Teach us that we are the ones we have been searching for and waiting for. So, Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. I know this is in my recording, so I apologize for repeating this. And for those of you that have been with me in the past, a little bit of a repeat, but again, just kind of bear with me. I created this space because as I was learning to channel myself, I started noticing with my friends that channel, specifically the two that are going to be following me today, Shannon and Anna Maria, we'd be in conversation with them and they would say, they would feel their team really itching to talk, really interested in sharing or in helping or in contributing. And a lot of times they would say, okay, I have to go because they really want to come forward. And I started noticing that not only with them, but other people that I knew that channeled. I started noticing how excited Spirit gets to be able to share with us their wisdom, our wisdom that we are learning to remember, to help us connect and to thrive and live our experience here on earth from a place of love and joy, which many of us have been taught by society that it's not possible. And fortunately, I am shifting my own awareness around this with the help of Spirit, of my spirit friends, as I like to call them, who channel through people that I respect, that I listen to, and also who channel through my friends that I practice with. For me, channeling is an opportunity for me to connect more deeply with who I am, what I am about, and to strengthen the relationship between my human and my spirit. I was talking with someone the other day about how our humanity is a spiritual experience, and being human is an incredible gift. It gives us the ability to sense, to touch, to feel, to experience, and to live through a tremendously varied, very powerful range of emotions, both what we would define as good and bad, wanted or unwanted. happy or unhappy emotions. And for me, that process of allowing myself to be at peace within my experience has been huge for me. And many of you who have been with me for a while have heard me talk about the three principles. I will talk about them forever. I think it's a great foundation for understanding exactly that relationship between your humanity and your spirituality. And it also has allowed me to really ground myself in my humanity as I continue to explore the ethers, as some people refer to our spiritual journey. And so for me, it's always really important to have that balance between both. And I've always loved the metaphor of being an ocean in the drop. Sorry, let me back up. I got ahead of myself. Being the drop in the ocean. And that if you're a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean, as a reminder that we are greater than what we perceive ourselves to be. And I was working with one of my friends in my practice group, and I was channeling, and I don't remember the question that she asked, but my team was talking about this metaphor, partly because it's one of the ones that I really resonate with. And they were talking about this metaphor, and they said that it's not about seeing yourself or recognizing that you're a drop in the ocean. It's about recognizing that you're the ocean in the drop. And every time that I say that and I share that with someone, I feel this wave of energy go through me. It resonates with me, for me to envision myself and to point myself in the direction of recognizing that I'm the ocean in the drop. And it is a process of, for me, it's a process of being at ease with the journey, enjoying the journey as much as I can, because I get very impatient. I want things to happen yesterday. I want to be able to channel in different ways and to channel different entities freely and openly and easily, cleanly yesterday. And that hasn't happened yet. I have talked about how, for me, I get the impression, and I've also been told, that part of my process and part of my journey is to take it really nice and slow, not only so that I can give my human the ability to adapt itself into all of the different energies that I am bringing into my experience in a way that doesn't overwhelm me. And also so that I can really fully understand my process and my journey, given the intellect that I love to play with. I analyze and intellectualize a lot of things, and I look for how things work within the experience of life. And so by being presented a slow path, it allows me to really dig into my process and to really understand, what am I doing? What have I tried? What worked for me? What hasn't worked for me? And what works for me isn't going to be what works for you. But by me being able to share with you what I do and how I do it, hopefully it gives you opportunities to play within your own experience and to try things on. Channeling is a way for me to connect with what I affectionately call my team. I have a group of entities that I refer to as my pack. I am told, and I say I'm told because I haven't gotten to the point where I can specifically get information about them myself, but I am told that it's a group of 9. And through my own channeling, I've learned that I am a part of that group. My higher self is a part of that 9, which is interesting for me to play with. And so hopefully they will be able to introduce themselves to you at least in some way today. They have in the past seasons, and hopefully they can come in as well. So channeling, again, as I've mentioned before, is a term that we use collectively to refer to our ability to connect with and receive messages from something beyond ourselves. And on the continuum of channeling, at one extreme, you've got people that are able to channel cleanly and authentically, allowing another entity to speak through their body, through their vessel, utilizing their vessel. And the individual metaphorically separates themselves from their vessel to give that space to another entity. I refer to conscious channeling as a description where the person that is channeling is speaking to you as I am right now, and they're receiving messages, have it be images or audio or emotions, feelings, knowings, different things, different ways in which we can be communicated with and through. And they're relaying those messages out to you. And so they're consciously channeling it. They haven't removed themselves from their vessel, so to speak. They remain fully intact within their vessel, and are driving the show, so to speak. What I do is kind of a hybrid, at least the way that I describe it, where I do close my eyes because it's easier for me to focus inward and outward with my eyes closed than it is when my eyes are open and I'm being distracted by my visual data. I am conscious and I am aware when entities speak through me. I still feel like I am in the driver's seat. The metaphor that I often talk about is I'm in the driver's seat, but I let go of the wheel, and then whoever I am allowing to speak through me takes over the wheel, but I'm still in the driver's seat. So it's very easy for me to just raise my hands and grab the wheel again. And sometimes I do that inadvertently when I get interested in what they're saying, or I want to better understand what they're saying, or I start questioning, where is this coming from? Am I making this up because this is information that I already know, or I know what they're going to say before they say it, so it's hard to really separate that from my own awareness of what I am preparing to say. And so I start playing those games while it's happening. And when that happens, I do my best to be very transparent. Either I will say that I'm getting in the way, or they will say that I'm getting in the way. The beautiful thing that I'm finding within channeling, and it's, I still haven't been able to confirm it as cleanly as I would like, but I do get the impression that as they channel through me, they are, as it's been described to me, they are merging with my energy, with my field. And as they merge with my field, it gives them access to utilize my vehicle, my vessel. Because they are working through me, my spiritual, mental, emotional, and even physical reality is going to influence the answer and the way that they answer questions. It's not to say that I am involved in the answer, at least not consciously, but the same entity is going to answer the question differently if they go through me versus if they go through Shannon or if they go through Anna Maria, because they are going through a different vehicle, and that vehicle is going to be part of that answer. I don't know how to better describe that, but this is my assumption. This is what I am questioning and looking to better understand within my own journey. As always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or ask a question. But let me just go a little bit further with what I was saying about channeling. So that's one extreme of channeling. The other extreme of channeling is people that live their day-to-day and have no idea that they're channeling. And every single human on this planet, every single being on this planet is channeling all the time. I talk about this as your insights, your creativity, ideas that come into your mind, intuitions, gut feelings, anything of that nature. More often than not, that is channeled from your higher self, from your spiritual team, from loved ones that are communicating with you and helping you along your path, from angels and teachers, masters and advisors that are there assisting you on your journey through your lessons. They're going to regularly point us in a direction so that to help us, so that we can experience what our higher self is interested in experiencing. We oftentimes talk about how our higher self is something other than us. And just the other day, I forget if it was Abraham Hicks or someone else that I get messages from and through the newsletters that I subscribe to, there was a message that talked about how there is no separation between your higher self and you. Your higher self is constantly involved in your process, in your journey. And again, this for me is really helpful to remember, because part of learning how to channel for me is to recognize that I am no different than the entities that I am inviting to speak through me, that we are one. Have that be my higher self, or otherwise, there is no separation between them and me. There is no hierarchy where they know more than I do, or they are to be revered and adored and admired, any more so or any less so than we ourselves are worthy of. And so for me, that's really important to remember. But the point of this really long story, and I do apologize, is that there's a very wide band of what channeling is. And whether we consciously recognize that we are channeling, we are constantly channeling. It is a fundamental part of our physiological design to be able to channel. One of the things that I've heard from a couple of different sources over the last year or so is that we are all going to develop our innate ability to communicate telepathically. So much so that our mobile phones are no longer going to be necessary to communicate with our loved ones. So that's going to be really exciting. Really looking forward to that. And I bring that up because it is an inherent part of our physiological design to be able to communicate telepathically. We do it much more often than we realize. And just becoming more aware of these things, becoming more conscious of the mechanisms behind our experience of life, for me, brings another layer of richness, another layer of appreciation, another layer of gratitude for my physical experience, for my human experience. And again, the relationship that I have with my human via my spiritual self, becomes richer, becomes fuller, becomes more integrated, becomes more collaborative, as opposed to confrontational. And I find that before I learned about the three principles and before I started really pointing myself in this direction, let me back up a little bit. In one of Michael Newton's books, I think it's his second book, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Destiny of Souls is the second book. It's a description of life between lives as he talks about it, where we go when we are not in form. And within that, I think it was the second book, like I say, there was a comment that he made about how part of our soul's job in this symbiotic relationship with our human is to help our human find a state of balance again, a state of peace, a state of well-being when our human gets caught up and engaged in its surrounding experiences. And I started, as soon as I read that, I started to realize that this relationship between our humanity and our spirituality is a symbiotic relationship where it can be strengthened and improved when we learn a common language that can be utilized by our human to communicate with our spirit when it needs help, when it's kind of struggling and it's looking for some assistance. And it gives our human also the permission and the possibility and the invitation to recognize help from our spiritual self. And though I talk about how our spiritual self and our human self are one, there are times when it's helpful to talk about them as being separate, though there really aren't. So, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt in that sense. But being able to have that common language between both parties gives our spirit an opportunity to utilize language that our human has recognized to listen for when it's struggling, to help it find a peaceful state once again, to help it return to its default state of innate well-being. And for me, a big part of that language was developed with the Three Principles conversation. For those of you that aren't familiar, Three Principles is a description of our experience as defined and described by Sydney Banks. Sydney would say that he didn't define it, that it was defined for him. He received a channeled message, an insight that was profound. And through that experience, connected with the meaning of God, connected with what it meant to be alive, connected with an understanding of the elements that form our psychological experience. And I would argue that it also forms our experience of existence, not only as humans, but also as spirit. But I don't want to go too deeply into that, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. So as I'm just sitting here quietly, I am feeling, and I say feeling because I connect through my knowing. I haven't been able to, the clairs is a term that we use to talk about our spiritual gifts, our spiritual senses. The clair audient is hearing, claircognizant is knowing, clairsentient is feeling. For whatever the reason, the visible is escaping my mind. Anyway, all of the senses have their clairs. I go through knowing. That's the one that I'm more developed with. And I always talk about how the knowing is one that is prevalent amongst all of us, and many of us don't realize that our knowing is a connection to our spiritual self, to our spiritual team. But there's also an element where the knowing also becomes very difficult to differentiate between the messages that we're getting versus our own internal process. But anyway, so as I was sitting here quietly, just looking to see what else would come to mind, I started feeling a smile from one of my pack, kind of an invitation that they want to come forward and say hello. So let me do that. So Daniel wanted to describe to you his process that helps him to recognize when we're coming through. He's very much involved in this answer. But he feels a movement of energy along his neck. It's also a spot within his body that when he is feeling entities around him, connecting through his practice, through his work with others, he can feel waves of energy moving through that part of his body. This will be different for all of you, but we invite you to pay attention to where it is that you start to feel subtle differences in your awareness and your experience. As we come forward, as we come through, you will find that some of you will start to feel us as well. We invite you to lean into the frequency of our communication with you. There is a sense, there's a vibration that we bring forward, which is different than the one that Daniel uses when he speaks. Some of you will be able to differentiate that. And again, this is something that has been very helpful in Daniel's own journey, is to start paying attention to these subtle differences in the frequency of the entities that he is connecting with, either because he is listening to them through another channel, or entities that he is connecting with and inviting into his experience consciously and through channeling. He's trying to identify who it is that's speaking, and we are his collective pack. I am oftentimes the one that speaks forward. Daniel's interfering because he's trying to feel into my energy and to separate my frequency from the pack to identify me more clearly. Those of you that were with us last season will remember me. I am the one that spoke to you last season. I am one of many here that play with Daniel on a regular basis. And as we have described, we are a pack of friends that explore and support each other through our respective journeys. We will be able to communicate more effectively as Daniel learns to allow us more into his essence with less interference. We assure you that though Daniel is still very present during these conversations, in comparison from season 1, where we would speak to him with a broken cadence, and we would put so much energy into his neck that it would move his neck to the side, his head to the side. We would speak with this kind of cadence to help him recognize that it wasn't his thinking or his awareness that was speaking. We have since stopped doing that. As he has gotten better at recognizing us, he is aware that the individual or individuals that are utilizing his vehicle right now to speak are not his own. It's not his awareness that is speaking, it is ours. And of course, as Daniel has described, we are connecting with him. So he is part of this communication, though from a simplistic description, let's just say that we are us and he is him. We look forward to playing with you all during this event and even beyond. We are always very excited to see new faces who have joined us along this journey. We are grateful and honored that you are with us. Daniel is feeling our gratitude and feeling the waves of energy that are going through him, and it is distracting him from our message to you. We are, as we were saying, we are grateful and honored that you are here playing with us. As Daniel has described, throughout this event, we are going to be speaking to you from different aspects of the collective collaboration between your higher selves and all of us, all of your spiritual friends, as Daniel likes to refer to us. We are all working collectively to bring you messages, bring you ideas, bring you into higher states of experience, expansive states of awareness. We will leave you for now. Daniel was just taking a moment to see, to listen to what else we wanted to share. And for now, we will let Daniel come forward again. So thank you for being here with us. As always, we love you. We are honored and grateful to be in your presence. Somewhere along the way, my video froze. I do apologize about that. I just came back from my eyes being closed and my computer had pinged. When my computer pings, sometimes Zoom freezes on me. So I do apologize about that. I'm closing out all of my other apps. Hopefully that will keep it from happening again. So hopefully you got most of that. That is an example of my channeling. Like I say, I am learning. I am hoping to be able to, I'm looking forward to the time when I'm able to trans-channel consciously, more consciously, where I am listening to their messages and being able to relay them to you. So it's a clear distinction of them versus me. And I'm also looking forward to a time when I can trans-channel removed from my experience, so much so that I cannot remember what is being said because I'm so removed. And that will allow a message to be transmitted without my perception of interference, which is really important for me. So anyway, enough about me, enough about this kind of intro to channeling. For those of you that are with us, please feel free to ask questions about anything that you might want to ask. Feel free to put it in the chat, raise your hand. If there's anything you want to know about my journey or my process or about this project, the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit project, or if there's something that you're unclear about in your own journey that maybe I can help you see differently. One of the things that I love doing in my membership group is having open conversations about where people are at. And oftentimes they present questions that are related to things they have heard from other people that they don't understand. And I do my best to share my perspective and my point of view of what that means to me. And oftentimes the way that I describe it makes it easier for them to see something within themselves about it. So happy to do that with you guys if anybody's interested. And if not, that's perfectly okay too. I can always find something to talk about. So being the ocean in the drop, what does that mean? So like I said, we were practicing in my group and I was the one that was channeling, and this message of being the ocean in the drop came forward. And it really resonated with me because one of the things that I've really struggled with, that my human has really struggled with, is accepting and recognizing that I am source energy, that I am God. That phrase just, it's hard to put my head around. It's hard to grasp for me. It's hard to feel into what that means. And Sarah Landon, who's one of the people that I listen to regularly, who's going to be the last speaker in the season, which I'm really excited about. Sarah Landon and the council talk a lot about, they remind us that we are masters, that we are divine energy, that we are source energy, and that so my mind just went somewhere else. Something else that they tell us, which I've always really liked, is that our relationships are a reflection of our relationship to source. And I bring this up not so that we can criticize ourselves, but so that we can start to utilize our relationship to life as a mirror that allows us to see how far we've gone within our own recognition of ourselves being source. This is something that I'm still working on. I'm by no means feel or say that I can feel and know that I am source energy with a sense of confidence. I'm still kind of playing in that space, but I love pointing myself in that direction, which is where I'm at right now. Is I'm more conscious of it. I point myself in that direction and I recognize it more and more. My awareness brings it to my attention. Reminders, when a bird comes into my window, there's a sense of recognizing a shared collaboration between ourselves, for me. So being an ocean in the drop, for me, is a really beautiful metaphor that reminds me that I am source energy embodied in this human form as Daniel. And